Hello there guys, you're listening to Ebird Online and I'm back with another review. Alexa, can you cleanse people with flamethrowers? I'm asking for a friend. You guys, I do not like Biniyam's sister. And later on in this review, I'm going to tell you the reason why. So yep, you guessed it, we're going to be talking about Ariela and Biniyam today. And not forgetting the star of the show, Baby Avi. Thus far, Baby Avi's the front runner for Ebird's favourite in this house. We start as always at the beginning, but just before we do, please don't forget, press the red subscribe button and join the Ebird family. And guys, if you want to know every time I upload a video, also press the bell notification and please don't forget to press like. So without further ado, I give you Ariela and Biniyam. So we first catch up with Ariela and she's dressing baby Avi. And I can't help but notice, he's making that cry, that strange cry.
Maybe I can't when you cry like this.
It's been...
Guys, that's the circumcision cry. Maybe Ariela put his nappy on too tight, but it really definitely is that cry. Who knows, maybe that's his thing. I guess it's entirely possible that that's his USP. But it does make me feel a tad better about last week's circumcision. Who knows, maybe he wasn't as utterly distraught as he sounded. And the wreathing mass of contradictions that is Ariela informs us that Biniyam's gone back to work. She informs us that she wants him to stay at home to help her, but she also wants him to financially support his family. Maybe he can dance from home, Ariela. But Ariela does seem extremely unhappy at the moment. And as she breastfeeds baby Avi, she tells us that she has absolutely no support. And I really can't imagine actually what it's like having a baby without your mum there or your sisters, or even just a few friends. And I'm none too sure that Ariela makes good decisions at the best of times. I can imagine with her hormones all over the place, things are even worse. I guess what she needs really is as much support as possible. Who can this be? Why, it's Biniyam's sister, Wish, and she comes over uninvited with her friend, Artemis. Ariela tells us that Biniyam consistently gets his friends and family to come round to check on her to make sure she's okay. And his latest offering is his sister and her friend. And I've rarely witnessed such a despicable pair of ne'er-do-wells. Wish sat down and commented to Ariela that Biniyam went back to work very quickly. And Ariela said, yeah, I know, I wish he could be here, I need more help with the baby. And she continued, I wish she worked at a cafe or a hotel, just not in a club. And she tells production that she really promotes Biniyam's creativity. Really, Ariela? You want him to work 9 to 5 in a cafe? And then Wish said, I know, there are so many foreigners at the club. And then Artemis, her friend, said, well, you know foreigners are his type. Biniyam's surrounded by beautiful people. And then Wish said, and you know the club is where he met his ex. I do love my brother, but you know, I should tell you the truth. The truth about what, Wish? What exactly are you alleging? And these two peed me off to absolutely no end. Whilst they were saying all of this to Ariela, they kept looking at each other and laughing conspiratorially. And guys, I honestly don't get it. Wish, this is your brother's partner. She's holding your 2-week-old baby nephew. And Ariela tells production, I think she's trying to make me jealous. Why is she messing with me like this? And I ask myself the same question. And then Wish, cold as ice, said, it's late, we gotta go. And she and Artemis walked out. And so I'm going to do what I do best. I'm going to overanalyze this whole situation just a little bit later in the review. So next time we see this couple, Biniyam's on a rare break from work and he walks into the apartment with a brand new toilet seat. He tells her he needs to fix the place up prior to her parents coming over. And Ariela is so relieved that her parents are coming. She tells us she's glad to have 2 people who will always be on her side about everything. Right. Everything like you moving to Ethiopia. Everything like getting baby Avi circumcised. As per usual, Ariela is a walking, talking contradiction. And so talk turns to the Weinbergs' imminent arrival in Addis Ababa. And Ariela tells Biniyam she wants to make sure that her dad really likes him. And she said, I don't want you to be nervous. Well, in fact, I'd like you to be a little bit nervous. And I don't want you to call him by his first name. I want you to call him Dr. Weinberg. And Biniyam was going along with all of this and saying, yep, no problem. And because he didn't seem fazed, Ariela thought, let's act this out. And she said, what are you going to say when you see my dad? And Biniyam said, good afternoon, Dr. Weinberg. Ariela, it's not rocket science. He does know how to speak. And she said, oh, Biniyam, I really want my dad to like you. I just don't want him to be like, oh God, Ariela's just with this dancer from Ethiopia. But Ariela, you are with a dancer from Ethiopia. I'm not sure I really like the path this is taking. And guys, how I read this was Ariela was trying to wind Biniyam up and trying to make him super nervous. Obviously he's nervous already, but like I said a couple of videos ago, this is some sort of power play that Ariela loves taking part in. And there are two main thrusts of this power play. Number one, I hope you're nervous of my parents and their wealth and their status. And number two is, if I don't like the way things are going, I'm just gonna go home, back to New Jersey. And the reason I bring this up is I feel like they're just consistent veiled threats. I.e., if my parents don't like you, they'll force me to come home. If you do things I don't like, I'm gone, thereby permanently depriving you of access to your son. And guys, between you and me, the jury's out on whether he could care less about seeing Ariela again, but you can tell every time he looks at baby Avi, he's completely and utterly in love. And I literally can't imagine the amount of anxiety it must cause him every time she makes these veiled threats. And then Ariela said to Biniyam, I'm really, really lonely here. When I try and tell you these things, you don't listen to me. And the truth be told, I look over at Biniyam, and he's concentrating on his toilet seat, and is basically not really listening. Well, he's listening, but he's certainly not taking it in. And even if he's taking it in, he doesn't care. And she tells production every single evening he's dancing, and then after dancing, he goes to the studio. What? The studio? Now wait 1 minute, Biniyam, what are you doing at the studio in the middle of the night? And guys, I don't know too much about the studio, but what I do know is friends that I have in the music industry go to the studio in the day, maybe in the evening. And the dodgy mofos that I know, well, they go in the middle of the night. This doesn't bode well. And Ariela continues, when he gets home, he's too tired to talk. And Biniyam reminds her that he needs to keep the money coming in. Do you, Biniyam? How much money do you make from the studio? In fact, I'll make it real easy for you. How much money have you ever made in the whole of your life from your studio sessions? I'll wait. I thought as much. And then Ariela decides to tell him what Wish, his sister, said. And she said, Biniyam, Wish said, I guess it's great that you don't mind him being around all those girls and stuff. Oh, Ariela, you exaggerate and put too much on things when you don't need to. But here, when you've got all the ammunition in the world and a reason to be extremely vexed, you make it sound as if next to nothing's been said. And Biniyam said, oh, but you know my work is my work. It's complicated work with so many girls, but you know, you should trust me. And she said, I don't trust you. You speak to so many people and I never know who any of them are, and you never introduce me to them. I don't want to go through your phone when you fall asleep. You force me to. Do you think that makes me feel good? Is that good for me, having to go through your phone when you get in? And then Biniyam tells us that she conducts a forensic inspection of the phone on a daily basis. Guys, my jaw is quite literally on the floor. And Ariela said, something dodgy's going on. I rang one of the numbers from your phone, and when the person answered and they heard me speak English, they just put the phone down. And Biniyam said, I don't know who it is, and I don't know what you're talking about. And Ariela said, you could be lying. And Biniyam said, I don't lie to you. But he did say it slightly less convincingly than I've just said it. And Ariela fixed him with a steely stare, and she said, give me your phone. And she held out her hand expectantly. So aspirant adulterer Biniyam failed to enhance his credibility by casually but determinedly deleting messages from his phone. What? He's just busy deleting like his life depends on it. I cannot believe my eyes. Guys, I was breathless during this exchange. He was there as casual as all hell, just deleting and erasing. So when she said earlier that she goes through his phone, I thought, you're overstepping any and every boundary this relationship has. But now I see this and I think, you're right to go through his phone. Something shady is going on. I had to go and get Mr. Ebird to get me a paper bag to breathe in and out of. Such was my dismay and breathlessness. And it appears that being honest was an insurmountable challenge too far for Biniyam. Guys, this whole exchange had me believing Biniyam belongs to the streets. So the message deletion seemed to go on for absolutely ages. Ariela got really peed off halfway through and she reached over and she snatched the phone out of his hand and Biniyam said, are you serious? Biniyam, yes she is. She's as serious as a freaking heart attack. And Ariela said, is it okay if I ring every number in this phone? And Biniyam said, yeah, with the look of no on his face. And then she threatened to ring every single number and say, hi, I'm his girlfriend, who the fuck are you? And then she finished off by saying, I hate it when you turn your phone off. And Biniyam said, I only do it when I'm dancing or I'm busy. And she said, do not ever turn your phone off. I will not put up with that. And so guys, let's pick this shiz apart. So there are 4 main issues I think to discuss. Firstly, what role if any did his sister have in all of this? Secondly, does Ariana have any right at all to go through his phone or to go through his personal effects? Thirdly, is Biniyam the architect of his own downfall? Is he cheating at those midnight sessions at the studio? And finally, is Ariana a batshit crazy Fruit Loop? So let's look at the role of Biniyam's sister. So she came round with her friend, obviously at the request of Biniyam, and she decided to amuse herself by insinuating that Biniyam's potentially up to something. And if you guys notice, even when Ariela said, well, it's possible that he might make a mistake, I don't think he'd do anything on purpose, but a mistake might happen, Wish and Artemis were just absolutely silent. Neither one of them said, no, he wouldn't do that, or any such thing. They just sat and stared at her. So there's no doubt in my mind that they definitely wanted her to be on her toes. They definitely wanted to wind her up. And it does sound as if Ariela's been going through Biniyam's phone for quite some time. But exchanges like this with his sister will help to make her even more paranoid. And either way you look at it, Wish is in the wrong. If Biniyam is cheating, 1, you shouldn't be selling out your brother, and 2, you shouldn't be winding up a brand new mother when she's in no position really to do anything about it other than worry and moan. And before everyone gets on their high horse, I'm not saying it should be kept a secret, but if she actually wanted to tell her something, out and out just tell her, don't insinuate. And if Biniyam is innocent and is not doing anything, why are you even bringing up where he works and the foreigners there and the good looking girls? You're obviously then only doing it to be a little biatch to Ariela. I think on the balance of probability, I don't think that Wish would sell her brother out, so I think that Big Brother probably said, go round and see Ariela. Wish thinks, oh great, I've got to spend a whole evening with this gloomy so-and-so. So to try and make sure that he doesn't ask her to go round again, she's made the meeting as uncomfortable as is humanly possible. And that's what I think Wish's angle is. So guys, let me know what you think to this, or have you got another theory? What were Wish's motives? And I'm going to move very swiftly on to the second point. Does Ariana have any right to go through Biniyam's phone? And we find ourselves once again at this age-old question. It's quite a controversial topic. There are 2 basic groups of people, those who are women and those who aren't women. No, I'm only joking. I think the 2 groups are those who say, don't look. Without trust you have no relationship anyway, so if you're going to look, you may as well end your relationship. And those who say, if you've got nothing to hide, there's no problem, and you should be free and easy with letting someone look at your phone. So I think that both of these schools of thought are flawed. Whether there's trust or not, it's not going to serve Biniyam, Ariela, or baby Avi to break the relationship up now. So just saying, you may as well leave your relationship if there's no trust, is not a catch-all statement. And the second school of thought, you should just be free and easy and let anyone look at your phone, that's absolutely fine, but where does that all end? As we heard earlier, Ariela wants to be able to call any number she wants, at any time she wants, and say, who the F are you, to the person on the other end of the phone. That's not okay, Ariela. It's just not okay. And also it has to be said, there's something massively disconcerting about someone who looks at every single message and says, who's this? What did they want? What did they say? Why did they call you now? And I can imagine how that would be very grating. So neither one of these 2 schools of thought really works for me. I'm very big on logic. What is likely to be true is the path that I'll go down. So I don't believe that you should be allowed to go through somebody else's phone for no particular reason. I don't think it's justified to take this course of action just on a whim. However, if you've got good reason to imagine that something's going on or something's happening, why wouldn't you investigate? Why should the issue of the mobile phone be completely taboo? Ooh, you must never look at the phone. So with that said, do we think that Ariela had just cause? And so I'm going to go back to what she said earlier to Biniyam. And she said that his sister said, I guess it's great that you don't mind him being around all those girls. No, she didn't, Ariela. She didn't say that at all. Here's what she actually said. It's really strange that Biniyam went back to work so soon, especially with Avi being around. This is a clear wind-up because you said to Janice, Ariela's mum, that men don't have much of a role in child rearing in Ethiopia, so why suddenly would that be really strange that he's gone back to work? There was also talk of beautiful people at the club and so many foreigners over there, and incidentally, that's where he met his ex-wife. She then said, I don't want to lie to you. Lie about what, Wish? About what? And finally, as I said earlier, as Ariela was musing over the fact of whether Biniyam would cheat or not, Wish just sat there and said absolutely nothing. And the only thing she did do throughout this whole exchange was look at Artemis and laugh quite nastily. And so I think he should have actually told Biniyam word for word what had been said by his sister and her friend. He would have more understood why she suddenly flipped her lid and snatched his phone. He looked at her like she was crazy, but she has just been absolutely wound up by your family member. And on top of this, Biniyam looked, how can we say, quite shady when he was saying, no, I'm not getting up to anything, and yeah, you can look through my phone. Is shady body language evidence? According to Dr. Kirk, no. According to Ebird online, hell freaking yes. In addition to this, when Ariela went back home to America, Biniyam started dancing with his ex-girlfriend again. It's more than just a close dance, it's a very sexual dance. And I think that would have any girl looking over her shoulder. And then finally, there's this phone call, and Ariela was looking at some messages, and she decided to call the person that Biniyam had been messaging, and when she rang her, the girl just put down the phone. Biniyam said, I don't know who it was. And I've got to say, this is the biggest smoking gun of everything to me. Now I'm going to break this down. You've been messaging somebody. Ariela Fruit Loop decides, I'm going to ring the number that you've messaged. So when she rang that number, whoever it was on the other side thought it was Biniyam. When it turned out not to be Biniyam, the average person would say, how have you got Binyam's phone? Or who are you? What do you want? But instead she just put the phone down. Now that's kind of slightly shady, but what's really shady is if I were Biniyam and I'm not up to anything, I would say, right, which message was it? I know this girl, let's call the girl now and you will see that this is my, I don't know, boss at work or the cleaning lady at the studio or whoever she is. So that specific incident could have been put to bed really easily by Biniyam, but for some reason he failed to do so. Now it's virtually impossible for me to conclude that Ariela is within her rights to go through his phone because thus far Biniyam hasn't tripped up. However, I believe it's definitely true to say that the biggest indicator of future conduct is past conduct, and I conclude something shady went on when he was married before. And so next we look at the question, is Biniyam the architect of his own downfall? And I think in some senses he really is. He doesn't seem to allay Ariela's fears. She asks him not to turn his phone off, he turns it off. Why not just silent it and not answer? He knows she has pregnancy hormones racing through her body. Yes, in addition to going dancing in the evening, he's also doing sessions at the studio, overnight and getting in early morning. I defy anyone to tell me they'd be happy with this state of affairs within weeks of them giving birth. I can't blame him for the actions of his sister because it seems as if he doesn't know about it, and obviously Ariela didn't tell him properly, so he has literally no understanding of what transpired when Wish came to the house. But I think it's the situation with his ex-wife that puts him in the least good light. Biniyam's already told us that his ex-wife thought he cheated on her, and she disappeared back to America without saying anything, and she's refused to speak to him ever since. He tells us that she saw some messages that were just to a friend, but she thought there was more in it. But guys, I can't help but think there was more to it than that. How likely is it that someone's going to take their baby, sneak off to America, say that you're coming back, never come back and never speak to you again on a whim? I think she received some pretty concrete evidence. And his actions today, when Ariela asked him to hand the phone over, slowly going through the phone, deleting, erasing, obliterating vital evidence. That was tantamount to criminal activity. That to me sends a very clear signal. There are things that I don't want you to see. Why? What is it that you don't want me to see on that phone? Inquiring minds would like to know. Biniyam does absolutely nothing to allay Ariela's fears properly. He swears he has nothing to hide. Right, Biniyam, except on your phone, except your messages. Okay then. And when I first looked at this week's episode, I thought, I feel so sorry for Biniyam. Ariela's crazy, but when I put all the different threads together, it leads me to the not unreasonable conclusion, something shady is going on. And that's everything for this week. If you guys want, I will do a body language video. It's been quite some time since I've done one, but Biniyam's body language spoke volumes to me today. Message to Wish, I just put a curse on you, now run along. And just before I go, Biniyam, that toilet seat was as wobbly as all hell. Must try harder. So guys, let me know what you think. Do you think Biniyam's been shortchanged? Do you think Ariela is too controlling? And what do you think to the whole open phone policy? Please put your comments down below, and I will see you very soon for another video. Please don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Please don't forget to press like on the video if you enjoyed it. I know it's a long one, but there was just so much to discuss. You've been listening to Ebird Online. Ciao for now.